Confucius, a great thinker in ancient China, once said, "The finer the grain, the better the meat." In the continuous development of cooking techniques in our country, the style of Chinese cooked dishes fully reflects this thought. The reason is that the process of careful planning, fine production, and exquisite packaging of Chinese cooked dish is beyond the reach of other dishes. So, what are the common methods of making Chinese cooked dishes? Generally speaking, cooked dishes can be divided into two types. One is uncooked and cooked dishes. That is, the raw materials can be directly eaten after being processed by dressing, quick heating, and pickling, and then chopped and seasoned. The other is cooked and cooked dishes, namely, the raw materials are heated by braising, spicing, and boiling, and the chopsticks can only be used to eat after cooling down and cutting. Now, let's have a deep understanding of how to make Chinese cooked dishes. Technique 1. Dressing, mixed and cooked. Dressing is one of the most commonly used cooking methods for cooked dishes, which can be prepared with or without cooking. The method is to change the raw materials or cooked clickers by cutting, add ingredients, and then mix them evenly.
拌就是将生的原料或者是晾凉的熟的原料经刀工处理后
and then adding seasonings. So, according to the mature form of raw materials, we have a raw dressing, cooked dressing, and a mixture of raw cooked dressing. The so-called raw dressing is to directly mix the raw materials with the seasoning after being processed with a knife, such as cold smashed cucumbers. The cooked dressing refers to cooking the raw materials and making them cool down before cutting and mixing with the seasonings. The mixture of raw cooked dressing is a mixture of half raw materials and half cooked ingredients together. Technique 2. Quick heating. Cooked before mixed. Quick heating is another way for uncooked and cooked dishes. It's to cut raw materials into threads, slices, and strips, lightly heating them with boiled water or sliding them with oil. Then add various condiments to stir while hot, and then dish them out.
炝就是将原料进行改刀成小型的原料之后
and then add strong seasoning to make it penetrate into the flavor and taste delicious. The raw material for quick heating is initially cooked and operated while it's hot. Only when this raw material is finely molded can it be easily tasted. In terms of seasoning, we pursue rich flavor, usually quick heated with pepper oil, sesame oil, etc. The characteristic of final dishes are fast cooking, easy operation, fresh and non-greasy, refreshing and smooth taste, penetrating the skin, and having a lingering fragrance. Technique 3. Pickling. Marinating with salt. The third common method of making cold dishes is pickling. Unlike pickled vegetables, they are mainly salt-based. The pickled cold dishes need to be seasoned with a variety of condiments, and the raw materials are marinated in the sauce to make them tasty.
腌就是将原料加入盐、糖、料酒等调味料
and then mixed and wrapped, or left standing for a period of time to allow the water into the raw materials to flow out. The category of pickling can be divided into three kinds: salt pickled, liquor pickled, and lees pickled. Salt pickled refers to mixing salt and soy sauce into raw materials and letting them stand in order to make them taste good. Liquor pickled used wine and salt as the main seasoning, prepares a marinade, puts the raw materials into the marinade, and then marinates them into vegetables. Lees pickled is a method of marinating vegetables with salt and grains as a seasoning marinades. Technique 4. Braising. Taste through the skin. Braising is one of the most commonly used methods for making cold dishes. It's a heating method that processed raw materials or clickers are put into a marinated pot to cook, so as to add a flavor and color to food, then cooled down before being served.
卤是将事先整理加工好的原料
All the preliminary cooked raw materials are put into the prepared marinade to be heated and matured, and have a pleasant aroma. According to its color, it can be divided into red brine and white brine. Red brine is basically made by used colored seasonings such as soy sauce, red Easter rice, cooking wine, etc., and then adding spices. It's widely used in the south. For example, braised beef and Hangzhou braised duck are all braised dishes with a bright red color and rich taste. White brine is made with a colorless seasoning and spices. It's widely used in the north. For example, the brine used in Lanzhou hand-pulled noodles is white brine. Technique 5. Spicing, rich in flavors. Spicing is a method of marinating the raw materials with salt first, and then put them into the soy sauce soup prepared with oil, sugar, cooking wine, spices, etc., and boil them with the high heat and cook them with a low heat and simmer until done. And then burn the soup thickened and absorbed before covering them with the raw materials.
酱就是将原料放入盐、料酒、糖等调味料
After being salted for a period of time, take it out to dry or air dry, and then heat it until mature, so that the dishes have a strong flavor of sauces. The raw materials for sauce making are generally meat and poultry, such as Hangzhou braised duck, sauced meat, and so on. In the process of sauce making, it's important to note that the sauce should be made as thick as possible, and the sauce that is brought out should be dried as much as possible, so as to possess the unique style and flavor. Technique 6. Boiling. Original taste and flavor boiling is a method of cooking or blanching the raw materials in hot water after preliminary processing. With a long history, this technique is well known as one of the traditional cooking methods in China.
煮可以分为盐水煮和白煮
Salt-boiled is a cooking method that initially processed raw materials are placed in a pot, submerged in clear water, and seasoned with refined salt, scallions, ginger, pepper, etc., before heating them to maturity. It mainly doesn't contain sugar or colored seasonings. For dishes that require a fresh and tender taste, salt shouldn't be placed early. Then, plain boil is a cooking method that initially processed raw materials are placed in a clear water or soup pot and heated to maturity. In the process of production, the raw materials should be put into the pot with boiling water and then heated over the low heat to keep the water hot, without boiling, in order to meet the standard of raw materials being fresh and tender. In fact, the techniques of making Chinese cooked dishes are far more than above mentioned 6 ways. They also include other methods such as rolling, roasting, steaming, frying, crisping, smoking, jellying, curing, and frosting. Having said that, whether the listeners will move their fingers or whether the viewers will be salivating. In the final analysis, the main features of Chinese cooked dishes are rich in aroma, cool and refreshing, less soup, less juice or even no juice, fresh and non-greasy. In addition, its status in the banquet is also very prominent. The main reasons for this are: one is that the fast speed of serving will make the diners have food to eat before waiting for the hot dishes to be served. The other is to create a good dining atmosphere and satisfies the taste buds of diners through a variety of cooked dishes. In a nutshell, the variety and the beauty of Chinese cooked dishes are unmatched in any other country all over the world. Because of this, it is called a unique, exotic flower in Chinese culinary art and has already become a beautiful landscape in Chinese food culture.